Greetings, my friend. How are you doing this fine day? Thank you very much for taking a thank you yoga break. My name is Aaron Suzurik. I'm a 200-hour yoga teacher, among other things. And this thank you yoga series is about sharing different poses that I do find useful for my personal practice. They would either maybe serve you in introducing you to the pose or perhaps just giving you some insight into the pose you might not have come across before. So, once again, thank you so much for being here today. And I would like to introduce this week Bakasana and Parsva Bakasana, or crow pose and side crow pose. So thank you, yoga, for crow pose and side crow pose. And I would like to give my personal insight on a couple of reasons that I find the pose particularly beneficial and interesting. So for me, the crow pose really tests my balance in a unique way. The way the body is kind of compacted really does test your strength and your sense of um, calmness and coolness and balancing in such a way. And also, it helps to change one's perspective of stability from bottom to top because we are using our arms to stand on rather than our legs. It really helps to strengthen a, a portion of the body that is much weaker than the lower portion of the body, namely the arms, because the arms aren't used to having to bear so much weight all the time as the legs. So naturally, this does help one to kind of broaden their perspectives on not just physical kind of balance and harmony, but also mental, because the mental and the physical kind of always translate to each other. So I find this very intriguing and worth spending some time to study and experience. All right, so Bakasana, its variations as well as arm stand variations do really help to heat up the body. And at least for me, it helps me to build up a lot of energy, helps get the blood flowing, because maybe this is an unusual way to bear weight. It might increase blood flow to certain regions that don't normally get as much blood flow, as well as the trial of going through the kind of altered state. Okay, so Bakasana is a great um, mental attention grabber. It does help bring your attention into the forefront of what is going on in the present circumstances, what is actually happening. Bakasana can really help call you into the present moment, which is always wonderful because the present moment is the actual truth of what is happening, and everything else is just a fantasy, or you could call it maybe a nightmare, depending on your perspective of being trapped within the mind. Also, as far as side crow or Parsva Bakasana is particularly good, I find, for releasing tension in the lower and mid back. It is a great twist for the back. So these are some reasons I really find the posture a pleasure to experience. And I would like to also share some other information from some research that I have gone through from a couple different sources. So the first source will be from yogajournal.com. They have given us some cautions and contradictions for these two similar but different postures in Bakasana and Parsva Bakasana, crow pose and side crow pose. So firstly, in crow pose, you should be cautious if you suffer from carpal tunnel syndrome. Also, pregnancy is a contradiction for this particular posture. Okay, so for side crow pose in particular, it is not the best pose to practice. If you do have any wrist injury or lower back injuries, so for any arm balance, um, the wrist problems are always a sign that maybe you should not practice the arm balance or find some other way to support yourself through the balance that would put pressure off the wrist joints. And there are different ways that you can do that with props, chairs, or bolsters or blocks and such. And I may do a series on these modifications, they're called, at some other time. For this series, though, it is just a vanilla demonstration of the postures, okay? So I wish to also share some of the effects of the postures according to BKS Iyengar's Light on Yoga. So BKS Iyengar is a world-renowned yoga guru, yoga teacher. And Light on Yoga is a collection of different practices within yoga that can bring us kind of more clarity on how to perform those practices in a safer and deeper fashion that might be more beneficial for us. So this is BKS Iyengar's translation, and you can find the effects for Bakasana on page 317. So for Bakasana, it's known to strengthen the arms and the abdominal organs, since the abdominal organs are contracted. And for side crow pose, or Parsva Bakasana, it can strengthen the arms as well. And continued practice of this posture will also strengthen the lateral muscles of the abdomen and the intestines, helping them to grow stronger as well. So with that, I invite you to see if practicing Bakasana in its variation may be good for you, okay? So thank you, Kitty, for keeping me company and keeping everyone company. Now I gotta demonstrate. All right, let's go to the mat. Okay, so I like to start out on all fours. I find this is a good way to start the posture, and after all fours, I move into a squat. And this would be a squat with my legs kind of open to each side and the palms touching the mat surface. And once I'm in a squat, then I lift my bottom up a little bit so that I can kind of fit the elbows or the knees nicely into the armpits. Okay, and now you don't have to strictly stay with your knees in the armpits, but I find this is a helpful starting point. And then once you are ready, go ahead, take an inhale, and then exhale as you allow yourself to tip forward, okay? And if you can do so, try to keep your arms straight. And if you want, you can look forward. Now, it doesn't have to be or kind of torquing your neck in a strange way. Just look at a comfortable space before you and see how long you can hold this posture. And breathing as easily as you can. And very good. When ready to do so, just tip gently back and come back to the squat. Okay. So for the next variation, I would like to share side crow pose or Parsva Bakasana. And for this one, well, actually, for both of them, I will turn my body to demonstrate what I look like from the side as opposed to the front. But let's go ahead and continue with the front firstly, okay? So to move into side crow pose, you'll move much like you did for crow pose. So coming up into that squat, lifting up with the feet, fitting the knees into the armpits. But instead of tipping forward, you will tip forward and kind of move the body or twist the lower body all the way to one direction so that both knees are pointed to one side. So in this case, both my knees are pointing left with the right leg underneath. Okay. And then still kind of tipping a little bit, taking an inhale, and then exhaling as we tip forward. Okay. You can keep the knees bent, or you can try to straighten out the legs if you wish. And we'll just hold here as long as possible, trying to keep the forearms straight up and down and underneath the body as much as we can do. Okay. And then when ready, kind of just allowing ourselves to tip back nice and easy. All right. And then when you're done with that side, of course, move to the other side. So both legs or both knees will be pointed to the right this time instead of left. Left leg in between the right and the right leg and the right arm. Okay, and taking a breath in, and then exhaling, tipping forward gently and easily, trying to keep the arms underneath the body, seeing if it feels right to straighten the legs or keep them bent. Breathing nice and normal here, as normal as possible. And then when ready to do so, allowing ourselves to gently come backwards, okay? And now I will go ahead and demonstrate it so you can see what my body looks like from the side. Moving into Bakasana firstly. Okay, it's also a good idea, I should add, to have the fingers nice and spread out. This prevents stress on a particular area of the hand, and can actually be really nice if you do have hand pain. It can help to alleviate it. At least that's what I find in my experience. Okay, so knees and armpits, and tipping forward gently and easily, inhaling as you tip, exhaling as you find your balance, and then breathing in and out at a as normal as possible pace. And when ready, coming down gently, easily to the squat. Taking a break, allowing the wrists to relax a little bit, maybe moving them a little to kind of ward away some of the fatigue, loosen things up again. And if your wrists really feel uncomfortable, you might even try kind of placing the tops of the hands on the mat, palms up, and pressing the hands down with the weight of the body somewhat. That can also alleviate some of the tension you might feel or build up from Bakasana and its variations. Any arm balance, really. Okay. And then for side, okay, so coming up, knees near armpits, then twisting lower body to the left side. Okay. Hands spread nicely, then tipping forward, arms under the body as much as possible. Inhaling, exhaling as we move into the balance. And holding here as long as comfortable, straightening out the legs if that feels good for us. Looking in the direction our legs are. That feels good. You can look forward to if you would like. And then tipping back when ready to do so, nice and easy. Releasing the wrists and moving to the other side, if that helps balance out the other movement. So legs to the right this time. Okay. Arms under the body, tipping forward nice and gently, straightening the legs if that feels good. Okay. Easy breath in, easy breath out. And then releasing back when ready. Well, I'm all warmed up. That was good for me. I'm awake as well. It's always refreshing. In the past, before I would do headstand, I would do Bakasana in order to help me wake back up if I would feel sleepy, and it always worked. And it still does work. And it wakes you up in a slightly different way because you use different parts of the body as far as weight bearing and what have you. And whenever you do that, it's like experimenting with changing the state of not just the body and the blood circulation, but that also translates to the mind and the way we experience reality. So it's always nice. It can really help you to change things around if maybe things aren't as pleasant or agreeable for you when your internal way of processing is skewed to one way or another for whatever reason. There's always maybe multiple reasons. Everybody has their own experience, but a lot of people, including myself, have experienced relief from feeling confined within a emotional, mental experience of life that doesn't sit well with one, and they have found relief. I have found relief from the practice of yoga asanas and the breath work and other practices as well. But I always go back to the physical practices. They seem to be really simple for me, for the most part, really easy because they don't require a lot of setup time. And it has really helped me enjoy different things more in life when I do find I'm irritated or lethargic or something else that gets in the way from me being present and enjoying the attention of a little kitty cat like Kitty over there, or just friends and family, maybe enjoying a meal, maybe enjoying a good book or a show on TV or something else. So if you find maybe it difficult to bring yourself more into the present and enjoy these different aspects of life, I might offer to you that you give the journey of yoga a try and see what happens. Always trying new things. One thing doesn't work, you move on to something else that does. But my dad always told me to give things a year's time for practice, especially when joining organizations or embarking on a field of study. And if it doesn't sit right after a year's time, then move on and explore something else. But it doesn't have to be a year. I won't tell you what that time frame should be, but choosing a practice and sticking with it for a period of time can really help one, at least from my experience, learn how that practice can unfold in our lives and kind of bloom and help the garden of our soul be expressed in the world around us. Okay? So thank you. Thank you, my friends, so much for being here today. Thank you. And I invite you to take some moment to revere your body for carrying you through the practice. Be thankful. Be thankful for the ground below, for it has supported us through this practice of yoga and throughout all the practices of our lives, different activities and such. And to thank the vital breath, for the vital breath, without that, life would not be experienced in any way, shape, or form. We could not connect to the world around us. The vital breath is such an important part of our experience. So I invite you to always return to a thankful state of these simple things that are quite miraculous, quite amazing. So thank you, my friend, for being here today, for practicing with me, for taking time for this thank you yoga break. Thank you, yoga, for Bakasana, Parsva Bakasana, crow and side crow pose. And God bless you, my friend. You have a wonderful day. Namaste.